Welcome to Mayflower Park and the 2016 Southampton Boat Show. It's set to be another fantastic week with new launches including the Axopar 24, Marex 310, Sealine F530 and Princess's new IPS powered 49. There's two new boats from Sunseeker as well, including the eagerly anticipated Manhattan 52 and the fabulous 95 yacht. There's loads to see, so let's get going. There's been a lot of buzz about this boat before the show. It's the new Sunseeker Manhattan 52. It's been about 10 years since Sunseeker were building a flybridge boat of this size, so it's great to see them back in the market. And it's got a fresh new look, huge amount of glazing in the saloon, amazing twisted ribbon of glass that link the master cabin and the VIP cabin, and you also have a double guest cabin on there as well. On the main deck, you have an aft galley layout, and then you have a big spacious flybridge at top, of course, as well. Down in the engine room, you have twin 725 horsepower motors from Volvo Penta, IPS or shaft drive, top speed about 33 knots. The price for this boat, starting price, is just over £900,000. Welcome to the rather lovely surroundings of the Sunseeker 95 Yachts master cabin. Now this boat is based on the old 28 metre, though there's a pretty significant change in that the pilot house is now raised and on a half deck of its own, which leaves space forward here for this amazing master cabin. Glass either side, full width, and it hovers on its own mezzanine above the master ensuite. Really is very special. For guests, you have 3 or 4 cabins, and if you opt for 3, you get a full beam cabin for one of your guests, and then on the main deck you have a big, bright, spacious saloon, and of course a very big flybridge up top. A pair of MTU 1947 horsepower diesels make for a top speed of 26 knots. The price for all this, £5.9 million, excluding VAT. This is the new Princess 49. It's the first ever production flybridge by Princess that uses IPS from Volvo Penta. Not only that, it uses the brand new IPS 700 system. It's got 550 horsepower per side. Top speed when we tested this boat in our October issue was 36 knots, so performance is very impressive. On board you have 3 cabins. There's a full beam master, a midships, a guest cabin forward, there's the VIP, and there's also a bunk cabin, 3rd cabin for guests too. You have the galley aft in the saloon and plenty of space up on the flybridge. The cost of the Princess 49 is £650,000, including VAT. This is the new flagship of the Sealine flybridge range, the F530. The UK dealer has made over 20 changes on board to the boat that we tested back in our August issue. One of the most significant is that it has the larger IPS engines, IPS 700, 550 horsepower per side, so it should have a slightly higher top speed. On board you have 3 cabins. Of course there's a full beam master cabin with its own ensuite, a VIP in the bow, also ensuite, and you have a really spacious 3rd guest cabin as well. In the saloon, huge amounts of glazing, lots of natural light, side doors on both sides, and also a convertible helm seat so you can get a bit more seating facing into the saloon. On deck it has the oh so fashionable 4-deck seating area too. Prices for the boat start at £550,000 with the smaller IPS 600 engines. Fairline is very much back and launching here at Southampton the Targa 53 Open. Similar sort of layout to the 53 deck saloon, but you have a totally open cockpit, and if it's sunbathing space you want, this is the one to go for. Below decks there's 2 or 3 cabins. This is the 3 cabin version, but if you have the 2 cabin one, you also get a lower dinette, which is what you're probably going to want on an open boat like this. In the engine room you can either have 675 or 725 horsepowers from Volvo Penta, or there's an 850 option from Caterpillar, which is going to be good for 34 knots. The price of the Targa 53 Open starts from £765,000. Bavaria have 2 new launches here at the show, the E40 and the R40. We're going to start with this, the R40. Principally, it's a 40-foot flybridge cruiser, but it has a twist because Bavaria has managed to squeeze on board a full beam master cabin with its own ensuite. Of course, forward you have a VIP cabin with an ensuite too, so privacy is good. Practical detailing is also good. There's a door out to the side deck from the helm, and there's also a window big enough on the port side that you can get to the decks from there as well. In the engine room, all options come from Volvo Penta, the largest of which is twin D6 370s on stern drives, top speed 36 knots, so it's pretty swift. Prices for the R40 start from £340,000. And this is the E40. Now it's about £100,000 less than the R40. That's because it has much smaller engines, displacement hull. With the largest engine, which is 200 horsepower, it's doing sort of 10 to 12 knots. So it's really made up for inland cruising, the Thames, big bodies of water inland, that sort of thing. You can see the helm position is located within the saloon but set a long way back, so it's very sociable. Everybody sits inside around together, and I think for ex-sailors this is going to be very popular. It comes as a flybridge or as a sedan, and below decks you have an aft cabin arrangement. You can either have one big cabin or a pair of twins, and then you have another guest cabin forward with a separate shower and bathroom either side. Really interesting layout. Axopar is the brand on everybody's lips at the moment, and they have two UKWs here at the show, both the entry-level 24 and the flagship 37. The 37 here is the wheelhouse version, so it has year-round shelter. You also have the aft cabin set up with a couple of berths aft, as well as a twin berth forward. Twin 300 horsepower Mercury outboards make for a top speed of around 50 knots. It's a fearsome year-round cruising machine. The 24, the other end of the scale, is the new entry-level model, but it has the same hallmarks as the other two boats in the range, which means a deep V hull, stepped. It's capable of about 40 knots with the largest 250 horsepower engine, and it has a very safe and practical cockpit with 5 forward-facing seats, 2 pipe berths and a bow rider section. But the most tempting thing is the price, £50,000 on the water including VAT. This is a surprise late entry to the show this year. It's the Nimbus 305 drophead, which is essentially an open version of Nimbus's 305 coupe. So you have the same semi-displacement hull, single shaft drive with a single D3 220 horsepower from Volvo Penta. Below decks you have a forward cabin, which is the main cabin, separate bathroom, shower room, and then there's a quite cosy double berth underneath the cockpit. But this boat is all about the cockpit. It's got 2 lovely seating areas that both compare to sun pads, and it's a fantastic day boat for somewhere like the Med. This boat as it sits here is £200,000. The 30.1 is the first brand new Bhatia Targa for over 4 years, and it's the first time the yard has managed to get the larger double cabin layout into a boat of this size. What that means is you get a V-berth forward for guests, and then aft there's a double bed, a pipe berth and a separate bathroom. The rest of it is familiar Bhatia Targa. Amazing practical detailing, rock solid build, and it will go through absolutely everything. There's engine options, single and double from Volvo Penta. The largest is a pair of D4 300s, top speed 40 knots. Prices start at £190,000. There are 2 new boats from Marix here at the show. The 375, which has actually been around for a while now, but it's its first UK show. Very simple layout, massive practical cockpit, loads of deck space, 2 cabins below decks with a separate bathroom. And then the 310 mimics that layout. It's so new and fresh out the factory, it's basically still warm, but it's on a 31-foot scale, though you'd never know. There's so much space below decks, 2 decent sized cabins and a separate bathroom. Single stern drive options from Volvo Penta. The largest is a D6 370, top speed about 35 knots. So that brings to an end a whistle-stop tour of the Southampton Boat Show. We've tried to show you as much new stuff as we can. There's lots more here that we couldn't get on camera, but there really is something for every budget here. And if you do end up coming to the show, be sure to drop past the Motorboat and Yachting stand number E001, and say hello.